Okay, so today, 1 hour later, because I'm not in Hamburg, I'm not at home. So I had to come to France to for work. So today I'm here in Amiens, in the north of France. But as usual, I couldn't just skip it. I had to do it today, even if I'm not in Hamburg. The camera might not be the best one or the internet connection, but we can't let it pass because every day you have people needing some advice in their job search, and especially in this moment that we don't have a lot of jobs available out there. So I always try to keep my promise, and give at least a little bit of advice on how you can be more effective and you can be better on your job search, what type of, of tools you can use to do that. Um, so yeah, as usual, we're going to talk about something related to the job search, about career coaching, which is my area of coaching. And today I want to talk about something that is really interesting for me, that I really like and I learned a lot from, which is podcast. I do have my own podcast, but it's not necessarily about. It's an interesting podcast, of course. It's called Intercultural Conversations with Vini and Maria, because I recorded it, but it's not necessarily on the job about. So the podcast I want to give about podcasts that will help you with your job search, help all with all the phases of the job search, from starting to write your CV to all the way to the interview. So I have a top four, which I think are quite interesting. My absolute number one, I only have a number one, and the other three is kind of, they all have their own good things, and those are the ones that I listen to, that I think you guys should give it a go. So the absolute number one for me is called Work Life, from Adam Grant. Adam Grant, it's a psychologist. The guy is really famous right now, and he has this podcast that only talks about how, the way he describes it, how to make work not suck. So it's really interesting, it's really insightful, and by understanding what goes on a workplace, and how managers think, and how your colleagues can think, and how is the environment in certain companies, you have a massive advantage when applying for jobs, because you can tailor your CV better than other people. You can do much better on interviews if you already have this knowledge in you. So it's absolutely worth it. And by the way, I want to mention I don't have any link with any of these podcasts. I'm just saying here because those are the podcasts that I like, that I think you would help. So the second one, another podcast which is really interesting, is called the Startup Podcast, which is from Gimlet Media. This podcast is talk about the experiences of people that opened startups, and some of them succeeded, like Twitch, and others didn't succeed. It tells stories through some episodes. So it's not that each episode has a startup tells a story of startups. Sometimes it's three episodes, sometimes it's four, sometimes it's more. They start talking about their own history, how they created a company, and it's also really interesting because at some point they describe some interesting interactions they have with people when they're hiring them. At some point, they hire when they hire people, they bump into questions of diversity in the workplace, about race, about sexual orientation. So it's super interesting, super insightful, and it's not only for entrepreneurs. It will help you interaction with the company. Um, Another one is Squeezing the Orange with Professor Dan Cable and comedian Akin Omobitan. Yeah, so they're two guys. It's a very funny podcast, but they all social science. They discuss a lot of scientific papers in including something about work, including things about work life, about professionals, and also every kind of studies out there about how humans interact with the world, and how we react to certain things. So it will be really good for you to learn how to manage your emotions. It will be really good for you to know how to behave yourself on an interview, what to write on a CV. It will be really good for your interaction with other people overall, which always help on your job search, because that's the key. It's when you interact with people, right? The last one is the Happiness Lab. This is it's one that I just started listening to it. I listened to a couple of episodes, and so far it's really good. It's from the host is Laurie. It's called Dr. Laurie Santos from the Yale University, and she talk also it's also about social science, but she talks about so many things that can help you cope with the pressure of looking for a job. I think that's the most interesting. This subject is very interesting because people feel the pressure when you're looking for a job. And if you have if you get the tips from this type of podcast, this one called the Happiness Lab, you have a much easier life, less stressed, and you can focus your positive energy into looking for a job and doing well in the job search. Yeah. So those are the top four podcasts that I am listening to right now that I think are really useful for whoever is out there looking for a job. And that's it. As usual, if you want to send me any questions over the week on any social media, let me know, and we are going to. And I can answer it here. I can answer you on a text, or I can answer you here. All right. Cheers.